5 years ago, E3, the preeminent gaming event of the year, held its last show before promptly dying in a sad little fit. Look, the truth is the pandemic forced the big game companies to rethink the way they showcase their games, and Nintendo showed them the way with their highly successful Nintendo Directs. Virtual events became the norm, but in 2020, from the ashes of this expo giant rose a new product showcase megalith called Summer Game Fest. Summer Game Fest now de facto includes events that last about 2 weeks, and while not all are directly associated with the big Keighly-led showcase, there are many events going on. With so many events going on, I thought I'd bring you the best of the big showcases and give you the rundown of what I call not E3 week. Starting the week off was the first major showcase, which began on June 2nd with Sony's State of Play. Beginning with an extended look at Insomniac's Wolverine, which comes out this September, they showcased the Short King's brutality in ways that I simply cannot show you on air. But if you're familiar with Wolverine at all, just know that he lives up to the mutilating mutant hype. In other first-party games news, PlayStation announced a numbered sequel to the hit horror game Until Dawn with Until Dawn 2. This brings the choice-driven narrative spookiness back with a tropical twist. Marvel's Tokon Fighters delivered a devilish demo of the Knights of Doom at Play and the new superhero game from Arc System Works. This villainous team includes the likes of Carnage and Green Goblin. A bunch of third-party titles were also on display, like the upcoming new Ace Combat game and the latest game from Remedy, Control Resonant, the latter of which looks as trippy as it does awesome. But the big showstopper was the announcement of a new mainline God of War game, with the twist here being that you're not playing as the titular God of War, but rather as his wife Laufey. You'll be fighting deities from across various mythos in the afterlife of the gods called the Everywin. With an outstanding cast, including Jack Quaid as a cube of jelly, and a combat that marries the air combos of old God of War with the more up-close melee combat of the more recent games, it was a standout moment for the showcase, and thankfully people were, super normal online about the game being led by Kratos' wife. So that's good. Anyway, Sony set the pace for what would be an eventful week of showcases with a solid presentation.
Guided by calamity, one man sought dominion through reunion. By his will, a star fell.
Your boy Geoff Keighly was up next, and he brought us a world premiere filled showcase full of audio sync problems and some baffling inclusions that luckily for him kind of evened out by the end. Keighly's stream was packed full of trailers for sequels and reboots, but the best stuff was of course the new games from many of the excellent studios. That's No Moon Studio brought us a unique looking military shooter in the form of Crossfire, with an expansive new cover system that will make strategy key in its gameplay. Capcom continues its hot streak with Resident Evil Code Veronica getting a full remake next year and an expansion to last year's Monster Hunter title. Star Wars Zero Company is a game that I will be playing roughly 50,000 hours of because I love the XCOM style combat with all the customizable teams that you can take down foes in the Clone Wars with. Virtua Fighter showed off some impressive world building. A new game from the legendary creator of Ico called Gen Atlas is coming, and it looks as impressive in skill as you'd expect from the man behind the Colossuses. The three biggest shocks though had to come from some baffling and bizarre inclusions, like Tupac in a Japanese Yakuza game, Stranger Than Heaven. And yeah, man, I'm just as confused as you are. What is he doing here? Oh look, Snoop Dogg is here too. Why? I don't know, man. This is just how life is now. Anyway, next on that list of shocks was the announcement of Tifa Lockhart of Final Fantasy fame joining the next season of Street Fighter VI. This is another huge W for the folks over at Capcom. Speaking of Final Fantasy VII, Geoff ended the big show with the reveal of the third and final part of the remake's trilogy, Final Fantasy VII Revelations, bringing the fight with Sephiroth to an explosive end. The showcase was a solid enough entry, but nothing here truly blew me away. I am extremely excited though about that final Final Fantasy game.
Happy Easter, Xbox.
Welcome to the Xbox Game Showcase.
Xbox rounded out the pre-announced virtual shows with a live show from LA. This was probably the one of most grave importance, especially for Microsoft, who has seen some very rough times this generation, mostly self-inflicted. New CEO Asha Sharma came out for the 25th anniversary of Xbox to announce the return to console exclusives, a renewed focus on hardware, and that the best days of the brand are ahead of them. Whether any of that is going to hold up to be true remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure, they did come out swinging. Leading the announcements was a special edition neon green translucent Xbox Series X coming later this year to celebrate that 25th anniversary. it looks pretty cool. Then the bombardment of releases started, with a new Senua game from Ninja Theory, an all-new entry from Spyro, some interesting looking DLC for Doom the Dark Ages, a new villain-focused trailer for Fable, and an extended look at Halo Campaign Evolved, the first ever Halo game releasing on PlayStation. That commitment to exclusives for the Xbox comes in the form of a Gears of War prequel called E-Day, a sort of evolution of the bro shooter series that helped skyrocket Xbox's popularity. The gameplay looks suitably brutal and has a focus on movement and mobility. We also got a better look at Clockwork Revolution, which is arguably the most interesting thing that Xbox has going on, and is also an exclusive for the Xbox. Third-party support was on full blast with games like Crazy Taxi World Tour, a revival of the traditional Crazy Taxi series, and an awesome-looking Castlevania game to round out the show. Persona 6 also made its debut here, though no details were given on when that game will actually release. Xbox came to this one to prove themselves to the world, and that might have worked had it not been for the announcement of coming mass layoffs immediately after this event. Asha Sharma says she is excited for the next 25 years of Xbox, but whether or not they've got 25 years left in the tank is really up for debate. It remains to be seen if this brand can be fully salvaged, and only time will tell. Solid showcase though.
However, there was one particular boy who did not have a fairy.
Lastly, we got a spur-of-the-moment announcement for a Nintendo Direct on June 9th. Nintendo is in a strange place this year, with the Switch 2 turning 1 and having very few true exclusives on the horizon to justify people jumping on board. They needed some massive hits, and let me tell you, if you don't like JRPGs, you're going to be very disappointed. We got an RPG for everyone. That's right, there's a new Final Fantasy game in the form of Final Fantasy Resonance, an HD 2D traditional turn-based entry, and if none of that makes any sense to you, that game is not for you. There's also a new Fire Emblem game on the horizon featuring so many more characters for you to forget the names of. We got an all-new look at Dragon Quest XII with perhaps the sleepiest little guy ever as its hero. This guy doesn't want to do a quest, man. He's so tired. Just let him take a nap. We got a first look at a brand new Xenoblade game, which is coming later this year or next year, with all the strange lore that you'd expect from it. From Software showed off more of its upcoming multiplayer game Duskblood and announced a playtest that's coming soon. Plenty of big games that are already out on every other platform are finally making their way over to the Switch 2 this year as well. In a twist that I think no one saw coming, Kingdom Hearts 4 finally showed up to remind us that it does in fact exist, and then leave without providing any truly new information aside from that it'll be on the Switch 2 at launch. Finally, the showcase ended with a teaser of a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake coming later this year. It's kind of crazy to me that it's coming later this year, but they didn't show up with gameplay when we're halfway through the year. Odd choice, but aside from that, it was a pretty solid showcase that left plenty to be desired if you don't care about JRPGs. But otherwise, it delivered hard for that one specific audience. And that's not E3 2026 done. It's not as explosive as it used to feel, but it's still an exciting week. My biggest takeaway is that everyone is super scared of Grand Theft Auto 6. So scared that nearly every game announced for this year is coming in either August or September. September is absolutely stacked with games, making my life a personal nightmare. So far, only 2 brave souls have dared to challenge that Titan GTA, and they are Barbie and Godzilla. Incredible. Mostly the showcases felt like we were playing catch-up for the last few years, with everyone trying to prove that everything is super fine and the game industry is definitely not on fire. Well, even if it is on fire, at least we're going to get some cool stuff out of it before it all burns down. For Hardwired, I'm Andrew Hamilton.